Overthinking is the prison built by your own mind. And freedom begins the moment you stop trying to control every wave and allow life to flow through you, asterisk. You begin to experience real peace when you understand that uncertainty is not your enemy, but the very essence of being alive. And trusting it unlocks your true confidence. Asterisk, the life you want starts appearing when you stop fighting your thoughts and instead learn to observe them like clouds. Drifting across a vast, open sky, there are moments in life when your mind becomes louder than your heart, when every thought feels like a storm, and when even the simplest decision feels like climbing a mountain. In these moments, we often forget a truth that Alan Watts dedicated his life to reminding us of, that the mind is a beautiful tool, but a terrible master. We live in a world where thinking is praised, but overthinking quietly destroys us from within. We analyze, predict, compare, imagine, doubt. Worry until our inner world becomes more chaotic than the world outside, asterisk. Alan Watts had an extraordinary way of cutting through that noise. He taught that life is not a problem to solve, but an experience to participate in. He reminded us that we are not separate from the universe. We are expressions of it. And the moment we stop treating life like a puzzle and begin to treat it like a dance, everything changes. You begin to breathe again. You begin to trust again. You begin to feel alive again. Asterisk. When you think too much, the mind hijacks the present moment. It drags you into imaginary futures, past regrets, and endless possibilities that never happened. But when you learn to observe your thoughts instead of drowning in them, something powerful awakens within you. Clarity, strength, presence, and from presence comes peace. Overthinking is one of the most silent and persistent enemies you will ever face. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't break into your life all at once. It creeps in quietly, through doubts, fears, comparisons, and tiny questions that multiply until they feel like a tidal wave crashing inside your mind. And yet, the prison of overthinking is one you build yourself thought by thought, worry by worry, scenario by scenario. The powerful truth hidden within this keynote is that if you can build this prison, you can also tear it down. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to control every wave and simply allow life to move through you. Asterisk. Alan Watts understood something profound about human consciousness. The more we try to mentally grip life, the more it slips through our fingers. Overthinking is the attempt to guarantee certainty in a universe that thrives on uncertainty. It is the desperate habit of trying to predict an unpredictable world. You imagine every possible outcome. You rehearse conversations that never happen. You fear mistakes that will never be made. And all of this drains you not because life is difficult, but because your mind refuses to let life unfold naturally. Asterisk. Look at the ocean for a moment. No wave looks the same. No movement repeats. And yet, the ocean is never stressed about whether a wave is too high or too low. It simply flows. Alan Watts believed that humans suffer because we try to control our waves or emotions, our outcomes, our future, rather than riding them. You tighten your mind, hoping to force life into a straight line, but life was never meant to be linear. It is a rhythm, a dance, a constant movement. Overthinking disrupts that natural flow. It keeps you stuck in the past or suspended in the future, unable to feel the richness of the present moment. Asterisk. When you overthink, you are constantly fighting your own experience. You second-guess your decisions. You replay what you said. You worry about how you look. You worry about what might happen next. You wear your mind down as if it is a machine that you cannot turn off. But what Alan Watts taught is revolutionary. Your mind is not supposed to run your life. It's supposed to support it. The problem is not thinking itself. The problem is believing that thinking is the only path to truth. Sometimes clarity comes not from analyzing more, but from letting go. Asterisk. There is a moment in every person's journey when they finally realize that overthinking solves nothing. It doesn't protect you. It doesn't prepare you. It doesn't make you smarter, stronger, or safer. All it does is exhaust you. And the reason it exhausts you is because you are trying to manage every possibility in a universe that gives no guarantees. You might imagine 10 different scenarios, but life will still bring you the 11th. Overthinking is the illusion of control, and once you see it clearly, you can start to release it. Freedom begins when you stop resisting the natural flow of your life. When you stop trying to swim against the current of what is happening. When you stop believing that you must control every detail to be okay. Instead of clinging to your thoughts, you can begin to watch them. You can step back and witness your mind like you would watch clouds drift across the sky. You do not chase clouds. You do not hold them in place. You simply observe them as they pass. And when you can observe your thoughts, instead of becoming trapped in them, you create space. Space for peace. Space for intuition. Space for wisdom. Your mind is powerful, but it is not meant to be a battlefield. The moment you stop fighting the waves and start flowing with them, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to trust the process of your life. You begin to trust the unfolding of moments you cannot predict, but can fully experience. This is the freedom Alan Watts spoke about, the freedom that comes when you realize that life does not need your constant interference. It only needs your presence. Overthinking is the cage that keeps you from living. Flow is the key that sets you free. You begin to experience real peace when you finally understand a simple but life-changing truth. Uncertainty is not the enemy. Most people spend their entire lives trying to escape uncertainty, trying to outrun it, trying to replace it with plans, predictions, and mental calculations. But the more you run from uncertainty, the more anxious you become. The more you chase control, the more control slips away. Alan Watts believed that the moment you embrace uncertainty instead of fearing it, an entirely new kind of strength awakens within you, a strength that does not depend on knowing what comes next. Uncertainty is not chaos. Uncertainty is possibility. It is the space where life breathes. Everything meaningful that has ever happened to you came from something unknown. Something you could not predict. Something that surprised you. Yet your mind convinces you that if you just think enough, worry enough, plan enough, you can prevent anything bad from happening. But this constant mental spinning drains you, stresses you, and keeps you from living fully. The truth is that uncertainty is woven into the very structure of existence. It is not a flaw in the system. It is the essence of the system. When you learn to trust this essence, you stop fighting the natural rhythm of life. You stop trying to force outcomes and begin to let them unfold. You stop overanalyzing every step and start taking steps with confidence, even when the path is not perfectly clear. Confidence is not knowing everything will go right. Confidence is knowing you can handle whatever happens, even when you don't know what is coming. There is a deep peace that arrives. When you stop demanding guarantees from the universe, life becomes lighter. You become freer. Instead of constantly bracing for impact, you open yourself to experience. Instead of holding your breath waiting for the next problem, you breathe deeply and allow the moment to be enough. Uncertainty becomes less of a threat and more of an adventure. Alan Watts often compared life to a piece of music. You don't listen to a song hoping it ends quickly. You don't try to skip to the final note. You enjoy the flow, the rise, the fall, the unpredictability of each moment. What makes a song beautiful is exactly what makes life beautiful. The fact that you don't know what the next note will be. When you can appreciate that, you unlock a kind of peace that overthinking can never give you. Real peace comes from surrendering your obsession with control. It comes from trusting that the same intelligence that makes stars burn and oceans move also guides your path in ways you cannot always see. Uncertainty stops being frightening when you finally realize that it has always been the hand that shapes your greatest transformations. When you embrace it, you stop surviving life and start truly living it. You begin to experience real peace the moment you stop treating uncertainty as something dangerous and start seeing it as something alive, something natural, something that has always been part of your journey. Most people fear uncertainty because they believe it represents the possibility of loss or failure. But the truth is that uncertainty is also the birthplace of opportunity, growth, transformation, and every meaningful chapter of your life. Nothing great you've ever experienced came from a place where everything was predictable. It came from stepping into something unknown. Whether you realized it or not, Alan Watts has often reminded us that our suffering doesn't come from life itself, but from our constant attempts to control what cannot be controlled. The mind wants everything planned, clarified, secured, and guaranteed, but life does not operate on those terms. Life moves with spontaneity, rhythm, and flow. And the more you resist that natural movement, the more inner conflict you feel. When you finally understand that uncertainty is simply the nature of existence, a heavy burden lifts from your shoulders. You stop fighting reality and start walking with it. There is a quiet strength that awakens when you stop demanding that the future be perfect before you allow yourself to rest. Instead of trying to predict every outcome, you begin to trust your ability to meet whatever comes. Instead of waiting for everything to feel safe, you create safety within yourself by believing you are capable. Peace does not come from knowing the road. It comes from believing you can walk it, even blindfolded. When you embrace uncertainty, something magical happens. Your mind softens. Your breath deepens. Your perspective widens. You begin noticing possibilities instead of problems. You begin acting with courage instead of hesitation. You realize that uncertainty is not trying to break you, but trying to open you to new experiences, new paths, new versions of yourself you would never meet if everything always stayed the same. Life becomes less about protecting yourself and more about expressing yourself. Less about avoiding mistakes and more about exploring. Uncertainty transforms from a threat into a teacher, guiding you toward resilience, adaptability, and deeper wisdom. And in that acceptance, peace flows in naturally, quietly, effortlessly, reminding you that the unknown is not your enemy, is your gateway to becoming everything you are meant to be. In the end, everything you seek, peace, clarity, confidence, direction begins with a single shift. The courage to stop fighting your mind and start trusting your life. You were never meant to live trapped in the tight grip of overthinking. You were meant to breathe deeply, move boldly, and rise beyond the limits your thoughts create. Alan Watts taught that life unfolds not when you try to control it, but when you participate in it. And the moment you choose to step out of your head and into the present, you rediscover a power that has always been yours. This journey isn't about erasing your thoughts. It's about remembering that your thoughts are not the dictator of your destiny. They are passing clouds in an ever-expansive sky. You are the sky vast, open, unbroken. When you detach from constant mental noise, you reconnect with your inner strength, your intuition, your heartbeat. You begin to feel grounded even when life feels uncertain. You begin to trust that you can handle whatever comes. You begin to see challenges not as walls, but as doors. Life will always contain unknowns. But the unknown is the birthplace of every miracle you've ever experienced. You don't need perfect clarity to move forward. You don't need absolute certainty to take the next step. You only need courage, the courage to stop replaying the past, stop fearing the future, and start living this moment with full presence. You are stronger than your doubts. You are bigger than your fears. You are capable of creating a life that feels meaningful, intentional, and free. When you let go of the need to control every outcome, you make space for growth, for joy, for new beginnings that are waiting for you. Step out of your mind. Step into your life. The world is ready for the strongest version of you.